Hello there, I'm Janette Lane, a craft designer here at CraftStash, and today I wanted to share how to make a quick and easy card with the All Occasion Spring Collection from Apple Blossom. And I'm just going to be using these three products, but there are more in the collection, and I will share a link below for you to check that out because it's absolutely stunning. So in this video I'm going to show you how to make this card using some distressed oxides and also some wet embossing techniques, which I'm going to share, which are really easy. So let's jump right into the tutorial. I'm going to be using the Basket and Weave Roses embossing folder, and if this design looks familiar, the wave in the center and the two different designs on the top and the bottom portion of the folder, well, that's because it's very much like the viral quote-unquote that embossing folder, which was the original embossing folder that inspired other collections and also this spring collection. So I'm going to be using some distressed oxides to ink up my folder, and when you're inking up your folders, your embossing folders, now depending on which side of your folder you put your ink on, you're going to get two contrasting effects. But for this one, I'm inking it on the female side. Or if you use the peaks and valley metaphor for embossing, it'll be on the valley side, so the side without the raised edges. And I'm tapping my distressed oxide all across the surface, just kind of tapping and pressing on the surface of my embossing folder. I don't like to rub my oxide pads or distressed inks on surfaces because it does wear out the felt tips. I'm sorry, not the felt tips, just the felt pads, and you'll get scraggly felt hairs coming off of your pad, so just be careful. So as you can see, you get some really nice color on certain areas of the design, and it's really vibrant and fun. And since you're using oxides, they react to water, so you can even spritz them to get an even more magical effect. Next, I wanted to share that if you ink up your folder and spritz your embossing folder directly with water, you get some amazing oxide effects when you run it through your die cutting machine. So the way that I found it works best is if you press down on your ink pad on your folder with a heavy hand on some areas and use a lighter hand in other areas. And then when you spritz your water across your folder and run it through your machine, you can get some really fun effects. As I pull my paper out of my embossing folder, you can see that some areas are more saturated with color and other areas are less so. Now you might be thinking, Janette, can't I just ink my embossing folder and run it through my machine with my paper, and then when it comes out, spritz it with water and get the same effect like you showed us earlier? And you can, but it's not identical. I found that if I spritzed my water afterwards directly on the paper, the oxides would spread to certain areas that were uncolored, but when you spritz directly on the embossing folder, it still leaves some areas without color and it gives you a nice contrasting effect. If you have a free moment this weekend, pull out your oxides and your embossing folders and just try all these different options. It's really fun to experiment and play with new techniques. Now onto the card tutorial. So I have my colorful roses all ready to go, and I'm going to trim them at the wave. Now the great thing about these embossing folders is that they're very snippable. Usually dies are described as having a snippability factor, but these folders are great for cutting certain elements out. So if you only want the top part of the folder, you can do that, or if you only want the bottom, or maybe you just want to use the wave in the center. And of course, you can always use the rest for another card. I'm going to emboss a piece of craft colored cardstock to make up the basket portion of my card, which is the bottom part of the embossing folder. And just to mention, all these embossing folders are 6 by 6 inches, so all my cardstock has been cut to that size beforehand. Next, I'm going to die cut this wave from the new Spring Occasions die set, and I'm using a piece of blue card which I will later heat emboss with a sentiment. So the wave die is pierced and scalloped, and it fits perfectly over the wave design on the embossing folders in this entire collection, so you can mix and match and even do some fun layering. I'm using this stamp from the Spring Occasion stamp set, and again it perfectly coordinates with the embossing folders and also the wave dies. So you have plenty of options for mixing and matching and also making all occasion cards because there's a sentiment for every occasion on this set. I'm going to heat emboss my sentiment in white, and I'm going to be using the Cosmic Shimmer embossing powder in true white. Now that the major components of my card are cut out, I'll be trimming everything to make sure all my pieces are the right size. So I'll be trimming edges off here and there, and then I'm going to glue everything down to a card blank with some adhesive. Lastly, I'm going to embellish my card with some yellow pearls and cream ribbon to tie the whole look together. And for the pearls, I'm going to glue them down with some liquid glue. And this is the Cosmic Shimmer acrylic glue, and it dries clear. Plus, it has a really fine tip, so I won't get those big I can't even say it. Big globs of glue coming out all at once. Can you say big globs of glue 10 times fast? Let me know in the comments if you can, because I really struggled with that. Well, I'm done with my card. I hope that you were inspired to try mixing a little water and color with your embossing. Everything I used in this video, including the new Apple Blossom Spring Occasions collection, is available at craftstash.co.uk, where you'll find some great deals, how-tos, and heaps of inspiration. I'm Janette Lane, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!